Welcome back to the Jasper Summer Nationals, coming your way from Wabash, Indiana, part of the Jasper Pulling Series. We're ready now for the 6,200-pound super modified trucks, and our first puller is Gary Harden from Kentucky.
One of the most amazing vehicles you'll see in this class because it is so underpowered. It's a carbureted machine in a class that allows superchargers and all original Willys pickup. And he's got a pretty good run going. There goes the front end up in the air at the end of the pull. That's the signature of these super modifieds.
He doesn't move any further, so he has to stop at 205 feet. You're looking at the next puller now. This is Daryl Varner from Midway, Kentucky, a 1989 Chevrolet, as we watch that funny car-style body come down.
Yeah, well, it's coming down over a motor that ain't Chevrolet, Jones. That's a supercharged, fuel-injected aluminum Chrysler Hemi engine. And that's legal in this category. All these trucks are supercharged 2,000 horsepower monsters with power going to the rear wheels only. But they have to have a full stock appearing truck body. And Varner's got that. But this thing is a monster.
My favorite rule out of all of it, no cubic inch limit. I love it. Look at the wheel stand for the rare breed of Varner as he continues to pull down the course. Finally, he'll stop it.
That has to be number one. Yep, 279. That'll put him in the lead. Looking at the replay, you can see how much he had in wheel speed. It was absolutely perfect balance. I think, actually, he may have stayed into the throttle a little harder than he wanted at the end, and that caused him to dig in.
Our next puller is Billy Bland from Litchfield, Kentucky, a 1989 Chevrolet he calls the Alcoholic.
Long wheelbase on this truck. Again, that part is unlimited, but he blows it up. Oh, look at the broken fuel line on the front of the truck.
Running one of the biggest Chevrolet engines in the entire class, Jeff McPherson is up next. He's from Circleville, Ohio, with a Ford he calls the Bean Bandit.
A killer in the indoor circuit. He's got a great pull going here. His father is a longtime fracture champion, but he digs it in just shy. Ted, I think the end of that course, 282 feet or so, is starting to get pretty chewed up. You're going to have to use your head to get past that point.
This is tough. Here comes a Chevrolet S10 for you small truck fans, driven by Danny Sullivan. No relation to the racer.
Actually, the whole Sullivan family's been doing this for over 40 years. The young gun Chevy S10 wheels up. He's got a good pull going. He's trying to find a place to keep it hooked up and digs it in just before, I think, the finish line. Yeah, look at that, low, foot and a half away.
Our next puller will be Rich Sandiford from Cincinnati, Ohio. And with our Valco puller profile, here's Bill Stevens.
Well, unless you're familiar with truck pulling, you've probably never seen a pickup truck like this one. This is a 6,200-pound, super modified, two-wheel drive truck, and it is quite a piece. In fact, one of the most popular classes in the sport. But believe it or not, there are a lot of things about this truck that make it similar to funny cars in drag racing. Yep, look at that. The body tilts up like a funny car, but on this rig, it's powered. With a funny car, elbow grease gets that body up. And beyond the body, there are other similarities that make this truck, well, closer to a drag racing automobile than you might think.
Well, actually, this motor that we're running in this truck is a Keith Black block with Brad Anderson cylinder heads. The engine is prepared by Rick Hickman. And most of the drag racers will recognize Rick's name. It's a 565 cubic inch with a 1471 high helix blower on it.
The drivetrain in this truck from the flywheel back is pretty sophisticated. Try to explain it to us.
Well, the clutch hooks directly to the crankshaft. It's a 4-disc Crowler clutch. It runs through a short drive shaft into a mid-mounted transmission. The transmission the range is selected before we make the pull. It allows us to go underdrive or overdrive, but essentially turns at engine speed. After going through the transmission, we go directly to the rear end, which is a 38,000-pound Rockwell, very similar to a semi-truck rear end. And then after we go through the differential, there's planetaries and inside the wheel hubs, which gives us about a 22-to-1 ratio.
Well, for a power-hungry guy like me, this is the place to be, sitting behind a 2,200 horsepower Keith Black Hemi. Want you to see how much weight there is on the chassis of this truck just to keep the nose down during the run. The reason for that? Because this truck has to pull 50,000 pounds, 300 feet to be a winner.
Rich Sandiford will try and pull that sled loaded down right now, Brett.
Boy, listen to the RPM. Boy, he really has the wheel speed up. He's got a great one going. It's going to be right down there near the finish line. 298.4 is the mark to beat.
Oh, just missed it. 296 feet. He'll put in second place.
2 feet away.
Here comes Rick Ertel from Cedar Grove, Indiana, with his bow tie madness, a 1984 Chevrolet. Take a look at the front suspension on that truck.
Take a look at the valve covers coming through the hood. That's the lowest front end I've ever seen on a pulling truck. And he's keeping the front end way down. He's starting at a low RPM. He's going to try and manhandle the weight all the way down there. It sounded like a fuel system was going berserk down there, and that's going to kill his chances. Ted, that may have been a good decision there, because low RPM on a churned-up track might be the way to go.
One thing about it, Brett, he definitely had the front end down, and it just might have worked. But like you said, I think he had some engine problems. Here's our next puller, Don Finney from Paris, Illinois, another S10 Chevy.
Little town to the northwest of Terre Haute, Indiana. The up-and-gone Chevrolet. See, now he's keeping it down on the ground. I think they're going to try and manhandle it down to the finish line, and it's going to be close again. 298.4. That's the mark to beat.
He had it going. Actually, had he kept it straight, it probably would have been a full pull. As we look at the Jasper Pull replay, you can begin to see him pulling off to the left severely. And I think that's what defeated him without question. We have more of the two-wheel drive trucks coming up. Stay with us. The Jasper Summer Nationals Truck and Tractor Pull coming to you from Wabash, Indiana. Our next puller will be the tough cookie of Dave Porky Sullivan, the brother of Danny Sullivan, whom we saw pull a little earlier in the show.
Now here in the 6,200-pound category, that's what the truck has to weigh, not more, not less. Superchargers permitted in these extended wheelbase entries, and here goes Porky. He's keeping his front end on the ground like everybody else. He's got to be down there as well. But Ted, the top end is getting chewed up. That's how we're going to see everybody approach the rest of this course.
Our next puller will be a 1924 Ford that is a part of a two-truck team. With more on that, here's Bill Stevens.
Believe it or not, the truck that's behind me right here at this truck pull has a NASCAR connection, and it's because of the engine that's sitting in between the fender wells. In there is a genuine 429 Ford semi-Hemi engine. You might remember back in the 60s, it was the rage of NASCAR. It's rare indeed. However, the engine in this 34 Ford may be even rarer. It's a genuine 427 Ford overhead cam engine, and yep, once again, it was quite the thing in the 1960s in NASCAR competition. Both of these trucks belong to Joe Smolik and Joe Smolik Jr. of North Judson, Indiana. I got a two-wheel drive machine and a four-wheel drive machine. Tell us the differences between them.
Well, the two-wheel drive has a double overhead cam engine, which does not have no push rods or no lifters. The other one is a kind of a Boss-type motor. We had it custom built. It's all aluminum. The complete engine is all aluminum. And at one time, it was 704 cubic inch.
Which motor is more powerful?
The 704, the four-wheeler.
About how much power is it making?
Well, not sure. Over 1,500 horse.
A lot of guys don't run engines like this in this class. Why did you guys decide to go this route?
Yeah, we want to stick with the Ford and the basics of the big Ford motors and all that. We just want to be Ford. That's what we're running.
You're Ford guys.
That's right, Ford.
You must get some great comments when people come over and see the trucks for the first time.
All the time.
What do they say?
This is unbelievable. I can't believe it. You know, big motors and this unbelievable.
Well, there are a lot of words you could use to describe the two Ford trucks that belong to the Smoliks. Rare? Mm-hmm. Unusual? Sure. Outrageous? Yep. And even plush. Or how about comfy?
Like Bill, I never heard of a truck being called plush and comfy in a truck and tractor pull.
Hey, how about valuable? I mean, let's face it, I don't know which is more rare, the single overhead cam engine here or an original all-steel 24 Ford cab.
And Joe Smolik's going to give it a good shot. He's keeping the front end down, Brett.
Yep, that's what it's going to take. You don't want to get too much wheel speed because you'll just start churning the dirt up. That's where it breaks loose. Right down around 210 feet. It actually ended up being 220. That's where you're getting into the tricky stuff. And speaking of tricky, here's the guy that went under the name of Tricky Dick for years, including when he won an outdoor national tractor championship.
And that man is Dick McPherson from Circleville, Ohio, with his 1924 Ford Bucket Team.
This thing is awesome. Notice how far forward the engine is over the front axle to balance that way perfectly. He's got a great one going. He's got a great one going.
He's going to be all the way a full pull. First one in this class.
I don't believe it. He managed to negotiate that tricky, chewed-up surface down there. There's a little smoke that came with that run. He may have burned a piston or two, but still a great run.
Here comes Danny Hebert from Bowling Green, Missouri. 1989 Chevy S10. He calls the old Jack Daniels.
This is a massive engine in this thing. Almost 600 cubic inches of Chevrolet supercharged on alcohol. He's got a good one going.
But not all the way. 283 feet will not get the job done. So Dick McPherson is the leader right now. You're looking at Jim Lyons, 6-time world champion for the ATP. As a matter of fact, he's the winningest puller in ATP history. And with more on Jim, let's visit right now with Bill Stevens.
6,200-pound, four-wheel drive modified pickup trucks in truck pulling are pretty simple machines when you look at them. I mean, you've got a chassis and a body, a very stark interior, 4 wheels, and a big engine up front. So you wouldn't think it would cost very much to compete in this kind of motorsport, right? Wrong.
Oh, it just went out of hand. It's so much different. We started out with old stock frames and stock chassis. Now we got the tubular chassis. Engler built this chassis for us, I don't know, a couple years ago, so it's all chrome moly. So that's how much we've went. We've more like the drag cars or sprint car guys.
If somebody wanted to go truck pulling with a truck like yours, how much could they expect to spend?
Probably $75,000.
Without a sled attached to this truck, how fast do you think it could really go with this engine?
Probably not real fast, probably 50 mile an hour.
Why is that?
Because the gear ratio is so low in it.
But if you had a different set of gears, you could probably go a whole lot faster.
Oh, we could gear it to run, 200 mile an hour, but it wouldn't pull that sled either.
Well, there's about 2,000 horsepower under the hood of Jim's truck, and yeah, I think I'd pay to see this truck going 200 miles an hour without that sled on the back. But before it can do that, I think Jim would have to work on the aerodynamics a little bit.
Not to mention the amount of weight that would be hanging on the front end. Boy, it'd be fun to steer, wouldn't it? I'll tell you what, as a driver of modified production eliminator machines in a quarter mile on asphalt, he was a killer. Let's see if Jim Lyons can... Oh, he's got the front end up. He may have guessed this one wrong, Ted.
Way off to the left, almost out of bounds, finally comes to a stop at 269 feet. Not impressive for a 6-time world champ.
Boy, did you see his face? He was not happy with that one at all. Everybody went the conservative route, and it worked. He tried to overpower the track, and it just can't take it anymore, Ted.
And our next puller is T.J. Tatum from Bardstown, Kentucky.
Straight as an arrow, but I don't know if it's going to be good. I think he may have actually gone out of bounds down there. We'll have to look at it. Yep, sure enough, he did touch the white outer boundary line, and that means simply go home. But it also means that Dick McPherson's the winner, and Bill's got him.
The winner in the two-wheel drive 6,200-pound truck class is Richard McPherson. Full pull, nice going.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell us about the run.
Oh, it was, we had the 2 trucks, and it really gives an advantage over with the 2 trucks. We put the 1 truck on the one side of the track, and the track was just a little hard. He didn't get a hold, made a bad run, so we watched the class run and moved the other side, and it gave us a little advantage over the rest of them.
The only driver to run a full pull must be nice not to have a pull-off facing you.
Well, we thought we'd have a pull-off. We've been having a lot of motor trouble. We didn't do the motor any good that trouble. We're leaning on it really hard, and we probably hurt some pistons that run.
Congratulations on a great win.
Thank you.
And we'll